Steelers Nation, the trade deadline is officially over. It is officially here. There were some chaotic trades made today in the NFL world. We saw Sauce Gardner traded. We saw Quinion Williams traded. We saw Jacoby Myers traded. We saw Rashid Shaheed traded. Is there anyone else I'm missing?
Trevor Penning. We'll see him Sunday.
We will see him Sunday. He got traded to the Chargers. The Pittsburgh Steelers did indeed attempt to trade for Jacoby Myers. They were one of the teams that were calling the Raiders for Jacoby Myers. Unfortunately, the Steelers could not pay up enough for the Jags and for the Raiders, and the Jags sent a 4th and a 6th this upcoming draft to get Jacoby Myers. The Steelers once again, unfortunately, failed at acquiring a wide receiver. They tried. They did. They tried. It's not like they were asleep all day. They tried. It's just a matter of they failed at the finish line. They couldn't get past the goal line. Again.
Nope. Here we are, stuck with the current wide receiver group, stuck with DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller when he's healthy, Ben Skoranek. And we signed Marquez Valdes-Scantling officially to the practice squad.
Yes, we did.
He is now a Steeler.
Why we signed him, I don't know. I don't care that he has chemistry or prior experience with Aaron Rodgers. That doesn't matter to me. That's not the fix. That's a worse Mike Williams, in my opinion. The only thing is we didn't give up anything for him.
I think that's a worse Van Jefferson.
You might be right.
Mike Williams at least caught a touchdown.
Yeah, he also won us the game versus Washington last year.
Yeah.
That was, we traded for him this time last year. Now we traded, what, a 5th for him?
Yeah.
We traded a 5th for him, and we had him for maybe a handful or so games and some change, and he's retired now. That's where it is at. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
The Steelers didn't want to pay up enough. They were, let's be honest, they were too cheap today during the trade deadline. They didn't want to pay up enough because they want to retain as many picks as possible for the 2026 NFL draft, which, of course, is being held in Pittsburgh. They are projected, I believe, 12 picks still for the upcoming draft. Now, unless anything has changed, and I'm not aware of it, let me know down in the comments. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Steelers are still projected 12 picks, which includes 3 third-rounders, their own, the one they got from George Pickens, and the eventual Dan Moore comp pick because he signed that big, hefty contract with the Titans. They are projected to get 2 4ths, 2 5ths, and 2 6ths. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they are projected 12 picks. I don't know why they couldn't trade a few day 3 picks to acquire a wide receiver. The matter of the fact is the Steelers need a wide receiver too. They needed a wide receiver too. And either if that was Myers or that was Shaheed or whoever they could have traded for, there is the chance that they would have just been Reynolds and they're throwing away day 3 picks just for Reynolds. But the way I see it, if you're trading those picks, you are intending to keep them around longer, thus solidifying that position. I have no problem trading away such picks if that means that he's going to be the fix and they're going to keep him the next 3 or 4 years. That was the intended purpose waking up this morning for the Steelers, and they didn't get the job done. They didn't.
No, and this doesn't come to a surprise to me and Dan because, I mean, we talked about, the fact that the Steelers need to be aggressive and trade for a wide receiver just yesterday. We talked about that. That was a video that we uploaded. I even said at the end of the video, I'll believe it when I see it and don't get your hopes up. Throughout the day, I didn't get my hopes up, but I seen these receivers, Jacoby Myers, Rashid Shaheed. I seen these receivers get traded. I seen these players overall get traded. And seeing the Steelers not be able to acquire one, I was just very disappointed in the end.
A little disappointed as a Steelers fan. Now, our desires of what they want or what we want the Steelers to do and our expectation are 2 entirely different things. It's a matter of our expectation and what the Steelers should and what they need to do are 2 entirely polar opposites. What we wanted them to do was get a wide receiver. What they should have done was get a wide receiver. What we expected was them to not, unfortunately, come away with anything. And unfortunately, the expectation was the ultimate reality of the situation right now. And the Steelers are once again going into the rest of the season without a legitimate wide receiver 2 solution, which means, God forbid, knock on wood, if DK goes down, we are absolutely screwed at wide receiver.
Yeah, big time. I mean, I would have to assume that is what went through the mind of Omar Khan and anybody else in the front office trying to acquire a wide receiver? I would only hope so. I mean, how can you not have that thought in your mind? I mean, nobody wants to see it happen. Us for sure don't want to see it happen. I mean, injuries are, like they come out of nowhere. And hopefully, God forbid, with, the second half of the season underway, that it doesn't happen. But if it does...
Well, we got 9 straight games, and I'm aware DK hasn't really missed many games. I think he's missed, a handful of games. He might have some fingers left over to count in his entire career, but injuries can happen at any time. It's unpredictable. George Pickens last year missed 3 games towards that end stretch. It was the Browns game, and it was the Eagles and the Ravens game, I believe he missed before he came back for the Christmas game versus the Chiefs, where obviously we lost that game. He missed 3 games. Prior to that, I don't think he missed a single game. So that goes to show you, yeah, they might be as healthy as possible, but injuries aren't something you can escape. Injuries are unpredictable. Anything can happen at any given moment. God forbid that happens to DK. They have no legitimate receivers, which is why we wanted them to trade for a wide receiver. I figured the Steelers would have learned their lesson from last year when they literally had the same situation just a year prior with George Pickens and no wide receiver too. Thus, they were so desperate they traded for Mike Williams. Now, they trade for DK, trade away George Pickens, and still don't make a move during the deadline, which I think those two overall just mind-boggle me at what they're trying to do at the wide receiver position. Our wide receiver troubles are still existent, and it's going to be a thing going into the offseason now. But I would have thought that after seeing what happened last year and this year going in with the same wide receiver room and seeing that when Pickens went down and how that pretty much out of a lot of things, but one of the things that started a downward trend, that didn't help our case. We had no receiver to step up during that stretch. And the Steelers are gambling with that again by only sticking with DK as a legitimate only number 1 receiver. I like Calvin. I really do. But he's not a 2. If he was a legitimate 2, there wouldn't be no trade talks regarding the Steelers. And keep in mind, he's in a contract here. I don't anticipate Calvin Austin to stick around. Thus, I think the idea of trading for a receiver should have been more of a priority by the Steelers. And the reason they didn't cough up more, the reason why they were so cheap and so stubborn is because, yes, they want to keep as many picks for next year's draft. I understand that. And the reason, and everything they've been doing since the offseason, all offseason, entering into this year, the reason why they went for all of the aging vets and the guys that are being cut by certain teams instead of making the splash plays was because they want to get as many comp picks as possible. They let whoever they let walk, Dan Moore, Najee, Russ, Fields, all those guys. They let all those guys walk, intending to get comp picks, and went after the aging vets that were cut by other teams so that it didn't mess up the comp pick formula for the next season.
Ideally, I mean, that's been the speculation and for sure the idea, considering the draft held in Pittsburgh.
It's going to be either a quarterback or a receiver that they trade up for. There's a reason they're obtaining all these picks. They're going to trade up for a certain position, quarterback or receiver. But you do realize that to trade up for such in the first round, it's not going to take just comp picks to get the job done. It's going to have to require multiple first round or early round picks within the next few years to obtain such pick, especially if a team knows for a fact you're trading up for a quarterback or a wide receiver. They're going to ask for as much as possible. And what does Omar Khan think he's going to do? Does he think he's going to lowball the GMs like he did so many years ago, like he tried to do today? He tried to lowball these GMs and tried to outsmart them when in reality he's the one that actually got outsmarted and he missed an opportunity to get a receiver. Does he think he's going to do that for the quarterback class, for the draft upcoming? Because that's not going to happen unless he pulls a Ricky Williams type trade, which was one of the worst trades in NFL history, by the way. You're not going to use comp picks to trade up. Thus, I think that they could have gotten a little more aggressive. They could have coughed up a little more, seeing how many comp picks they're projected to get. They could have afforded to send some more to get a receiver while still knowing that, hey, we're going to go get a quarterback. We're going to go get a wide receiver in next year's draft, knowing that we're going to have to trade multiple first to do it anyway. So we can sacrifice the day 3 picks. Instead, they don't.
Yeah, I don't know what their thinking process is. I don't know what they have in mind. Hopefully they have something brewing when it comes to draft time. That's draft time. But considering how they were in the offseason with the lack of splash signings, in free agency and whatnot, and for the comp picks to garner all these comp picks and whatnot. If that was your plan, if you know that you're gonna get these comp picks from the players that left from last year, don't you think that it would have been more salvageable to trade this and that and have those comp picks replace the picks that you're trading away for a wide receiver, considering this year, what your mission is?
Are the Steelers really that afraid to trade away day 3 picks?
Rashid Shaheed and Jacoby Myers were traded away
for day 3 picks, and
yes.
The Steelers didn't want to cough up anything extra. Why not? They're day 3 picks. You're projected to get more in this upcoming draft.
The comp picks that you're receiving because of the players that left and the lack of splash free agents that you didn't get, those would have been the replacements of the picks that you could have traded away for a wide receiver.
Agreed.
And again, because of the season, your mission this season is to go all in. You got A-Rod, you got Ramsey, you traded for DK, you got all these big name star power, right? You got these Pro Bowlers, future Hall of Famers, to go all in.
You make a run, regardless.
You're not going to go all in with Marquez Valdes-Scantling on your practice
unless
squad.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling puts on some absolute bangers this upcoming season, which I highly doubt is going to happen, or they have a hell of a draft next year with however many picks they're going to have after most likely trading up. I don't understand why they couldn't trade away day 3 picks to go get a wide receiver and then re-sign him to keep him locked down. You're going to go get a receiver in next year's draft anyway. Why not get someone that's proven? Why not get someone that you can cough up day 3 picks when you know you're going to have that insured anyway with the comp formula? I don't understand why they couldn't do it. They got that cheap. They were that cheap. I get that they want to build for the future and they really prioritize the draft. That's one thing the Steelers are known for, is building through the draft. But I think they had everything back in their corner to still go get someone, and they got too cheap today. To me, that views the Steelers as very cheap, as very stubborn, and unserious. There is no way that this team is going to go anywhere further than where they've already been stuck at. There's no way they think that this team, this offense, can make a legitimate push without another wide receiver, without extra star power, without an extra piece for Aaron Rodgers. I don't understand it. We're going to throw the ball to the tight ends more? Sure. Fine. We run a ton of 12 and 13 personnel. I get it. But the tight ends aren't really blowing up the offense for us right now in terms of an aerial attack. DK, he got 2 catches for 6 yards, and I think the most catches he has in a single game this year is, 4 or 5?
5 twice. That's it.
Roman Wilson's fumbling the ball anytime he gets the opportunity. And when he gets the opportunity, it's very minimal snaps. Calvin Austin, I like Calvin, but again, he's not really a 2. They needed an extra guy, and they didn't. And that's just talking about the wide receiver position. They could have also traded for a corner. They could have, because Darius Slay is not good. He's always hurt. He's older than Betty White at this point. He can't cover. He's a liability on this defense, and they didn't make a trade for that position. Or what I would have done, I would have kept Ramsey at safety, which Tomlin confirmed, which I agree with. Keep Ramsey at safety, move Eccles outside on the boundary opposite of JPJ, and then bring up Beanie Bishop to place him in the slot. Instead, they cut Beanie Bishop for MVS. I don't understand.
No, I don't agree with that business move one bit. I don't understand that. I thought Beanie would have been a fine extra hand for the slot. Depth guy, developmental piece, considering he had, in my opinion, a fine rookie season, considering he was undrafted and literally the number 1 nickel corner come day 1 of training camp. I thought he did fine. For some reason, Steelers just didn't want to keep Beanie Bishop.
Well, instead, they're going to continue to rely on a very old and always hurt Darius Slay. They brought in Marquez Valdes-Scantling for a practice squad spot for insurance at the wide receiver position, and they're going to continue to trust the guys at the wide position that they've been playing for all season, who haven't really done much. In fact, when Calvin was out, how many times did the wide receivers get a single target or a single catch?
How often did Roman get snaps, opportunities,
and
playing
again,
time?
Look at last year when Pickens went out. What receiver really stepped up? No one. So God forbid that happens to DK towards the final stretch of this upcoming season. The Steelers are screwed. The Steelers are screwed at wide receiver. They should have prioritized these positions more, specifically wide receiver, and they didn't. And I don't know how they think that they can be serious going into the final stretch and trying to make a deep playoff run with how they orchestrated the roster. I don't think it's possible. I don't view them as a serious franchise at that point. They should have gotten a little more aggressive. They could have coughed up a little more if they really want to make a run this year. Regardless, no matter what the Steelers do, they're always trying to make a run, right? They did everything this year to make a run, whatever you want to phrase it as. They always make a run. That's their main mission every year. Go get another receiver, and they didn't. Go get another corner, and they didn't. I feel like they could have coughed up some extra picks, and instead they wanted to retain them. I get why they wanted to, but what they want to do for next offseason is going to cost a lot more than what they wanted to keep today. It makes no sense to me.
No, I agree. And Omar Khan, we sung his praises from time to time, from his free agent signings to the draft classes, and they seem to be going great.
I love his draft classes.
But when it comes to the wide receiver position, it blew our minds literally live on the air when he traded away a second-round pick for DK Metcalf, and it looked like wide receiver is no longer an issue. It's finally good to go until they decided to trade away George Pickens 2 weeks after the draft, when they had no backup plan for the wide receiver position, when they knew that this was always a big possibility of getting Pickens out of here.
Yeah, and then come the trade deadline, they still don't replace him.
No, because Omar Khan, and I love Omar Khan, but he's not perfect, and it goes to show with this trade deadline that he's not perfect one bit, and that he's very safe, and he's very stubborn, and there's moments where he's aggressive, especially in the draft, but when it comes to trying to acquire, for example, the wide receiver 2 position, he's not aggressive enough.
I just want them to solidify the wide receiver 2 position, because now we're going into the rest of the season, a second straight year without a legitimate wide receiver 2. And I don't know how they didn't learn their lesson from last year. To me, I'm going to be honest with you guys, Omar Khan has butchered the wide receiver position. The trade for DK was great, but everything in between, he has butchered the wide receiver position. And thus, the Steelers are stuck with what they have for the remainder of the year. And the wide receiver fixes, the wide receiver hole that the Steelers are going to have to eventually clean up is going to have to be filled maybe next year. All I know is that no matter what happens for the offseason or for agency or whatever trade rumors are coming, at this point, bro, when it resolves the Steelers, or when it involves the Steelers and a wide receiver, or rumors or reports, which are very tiring now because we're on a year and a half of this.
And it's only going to continue.
I'm not getting my hopes up on anything. In fact, when I see the reports, I'm just going to just look away, because
kind of roll your eyes about it and just shrug the shoulder, whatever.
Exactly. How many times do we got to see it before they finally make the fix? We're going to have to wait another couple months until they can finally fix it. But until then, we have 9 straight weeks and maybe even the playoffs.
And within that span, I'd say for wide receiver 2, as long as Austin's healthy, incorporate him and his speed. Roman Wilson, give him the opportunity. After that boneheaded fumble, that boneheaded play toward the tail end of the Colts game, I don't know how much of opportunity Roman Wilson's going to see now, because mistakes like that, Mike Tomlin's going to be like, nah, that's not happening.
No.
We're not going to accept that. But nonetheless, that's still not going to stop me from wanting to see Roman Wilson. What do you got to lose? You drafted the guy. He's healthy. He's busting his ass out there. Give him the opportunity. I'd rather see Roman Wilson be given the opportunity because he's busting his ass for that opportunity, rather than Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Yeah.
Because he was teammates with Aaron Rodgers.
But now that's what they're going to rely on. They're going to rely on that and strength in numbers. We know how the offense is orchestrated. We know how it's ran. They like to use the rock a lot with Warren and Gainwell. They rely a lot on DK and mainly the tight ends. And they throw a bone to Calvin and Roman every now and then. That's kind of how they really run their offense, right?
It's like...
And A-Rod has done very good with what he has. Aaron Rodgers has never been a negative so far this season.
No, not one
game. He has been a huge positive of this team all year. Aaron Rodgers has done very well with what has been handed to him. I just don't know how you don't want to give him another target. How you don't get a little bit aggressive and you cough up just a little more.
I don't get it.
Jacoby Myers got traded for a 4th and a 6th. If the Steelers really wanted him, to be honest, it might have required a 3rd. The Steelers have 3 of them. A 3rd was a little too rich for Jacoby. I'm not going to lie to you, because in context, the Steelers traded Pickens for a 3rd. Is Myers worth a 3rd? No. If the Steelers wanted to cough up a little extra compensation, maybe a couple day 2 picks for this upcoming draft, and then maybe a few in 2027, I think they could have afforded that. And then they would have extended Myers. You don't trade for a guy like Myers or Shaheed, who got traded for 4th and 5th, to be a rental. You bring them in to be difference makers and to sign them long term. That's why you cough up the dough, to keep them here long term, to fix that position.
Nope.
And the Steelers were just too cheap today, unfortunately. I'm not surprised by it. I'm very disappointed. It's just a matter of we needed a receiver. We needed somebody in case anything happens to DK. We needed more firepower. We needed to finally finish these wide receiver troubles.
No, but
and we didn't.
No, and it's only going to continue to be stretched out even further. I mean, this whole drought has gone on far too long. Way too long, actually. And it's only going to continue for basically another offseason up until they either sign a guy that's credible or draft one. If they draft one, ideally it's within the first 2 rounds.
Agreed.
I don't see them waiting till round 3 again. No, it's either round 1 or round 2.
Well, you also got to look at corner. We got to look at corner next year.
Yeah, Slay's only here for a year. I mean, you're not signing his ass
So
back.
do they make a splash in free agency? I know that's for next offseason talk, but you also got to think, like, yeah, well, when is this wide receiver issue really going to be resolved? I feel like they had a great opportunity to do it today. They tried with Myers. They just got cheap. And they got cheap because they wanted to keep they wanted to keep the day 3 picks, which I don't know what they intend to use those for outside of improving depth and gaining extra bodies on several areas of the field. But I'm telling you right now, those comp picks aren't going to be enough to trade up in the first round.
No.
They could have sacrificed this instead of keeping them when you know it's going to cost more to trade up for what you ultimately want to do.
Which is why I question, like, what's their idea, or the fact that they better have a plan in mind, and a good reason to keep these comp picks, because those comp picks could have been a good fill-in, a good replacement to the picks that you could trade away for a wide receiver.
Agreed.
But again, I don't know what their thought process is. Hopefully they have a plan in mind. We don't have a wide receiver too.
And the options are non-existent. Non-existent. This is their last chance.
Even the free agency pool. I mean, like, there's nobody.
No.
Nobody.
There's nobody.
So it's like, play Calvin, play Roman Wilson, incorporate the tight ends more, try to get DK more involved, hopefully find a way to get him more targets thrown his direction, because I feel like DK, despite him having good games here and there and getting touchdowns, he's not seeing the ball as consistently as he should, considering how much we're paying him.
He needs a ton more targets. Arthur Smith better be in his bag these next 9 games and getting these guys the targets and the football. That's the way I see it. Otherwise, yeah, Steelers Nation, we are stuck with the same wide receiver troubles that we were stuck with last year, and we officially have to go through it for the rest of the season.
Which means this sign's coming down, and it might even come back up for probably off-season purposes.
We just keep recycling signs, don't we?
Yes, just like the Steelers are recycling wide receiver 2s every year.
Yeah, it seems to be. Instead of getting a permanent fix. That's going to be for next year eventually. Fingers crossed, maybe. I don't know anymore. I don't know. But the Steelers, man, they tried. They failed. Once again, the Steelers failed at acquiring a wide receiver, man. It's like every time we get close to one of these things, it's always the Steelers tried to acquire this. The Steelers inquired about this guy. How about you actually get the job done? You know? Instead, they couldn't get the job done.
No.
It's like, I don't know. It's just, it's a little frustrating as a Steelers fan to know that we got to go through this again. To some of you guys, it might not be a big deal, but to me, I'd much rather fill the wide receiver 2 position. If the Steelers really want to make a run, they'd give their 41-year-old quarterback an extra helping hand. And they didn't. But thus now, the trade deadline's over. There's nothing we can do about it. And it is what it is. So now the Steelers officially prepare for the Los Angeles Chargers, and they travel on the road for Sunday Night Football to go to SoFi Stadium.
The West Coast.
The West Coast, indeed. So all that's behind us now. It's all one game at a time. It's all one game at a time for 9 straight weeks, and then maybe even eventually the playoffs. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. Let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. How do you guys feel about the Steelers trade deadline and how they didn't acquire a receiver or a corner or maybe an offensive lineman or whatever position you think they could have acquired that they unfortunately did not obtain today. But let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. We'll see you on Thursday for the Steelers versus Chargers preview, man. You guys have a good one. Here we go, Steelers, at the end of the day.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!